The world of company secretaries. This is an interview show where we talk to different company secretaries in India and abroad. And joining me today is a special guest, CS Sarina Chouta Harish. Hello, ma'am. Welcome to our interview show.
Hi, Alok. Glad to be with you and look forward to all your questions in the interview today. I've watched an episode earlier and it was quite interesting, that you are going all across and interviewing people from India and abroad. And this is a good platform for students, I think, whoever is watching this show to learn more from the experiences of senior members of the profession.
Thank you very much, ma'am. So before we go ahead, let me introduce our guest today to our audience. Sarina ma'am is basically a company secretary and also has done her cost accountancy. And she presently works with the NR Group or Rangsons. And for people like the audience, for you to understand, Cycle Pure Agarbatti is the brand which that is owned by this group. And she has more than 2 decades of experience. And apart from being a CS, she's also an acclaimed Bharatanatyam dancer. I'm sure she'll share a lot about that also today. Ma'am, how are you doing today?
All well, still working from home, Alok. It's been a new experience, but it's been a learning experience because all along, I've been in a manufacturing setup, so we never had an opportunity to work from home.
Yes.
So we used to be working out of our sites and offices, and this is a whole new lot of learning and technology and all those issues. But I think we're coping up very well.
Yeah. So I'm sure today's interview will be quite inspiring for students. But before we start your journey from how you took CS, if you could please share about your present company and the role which you have in the company right now.
Yes. My stint with the company secretary started in 1990. That is when I had actually enrolled in a CA's office with the intention of becoming a chartered accountant. That
Okay.
was soon after my graduation. And there was a system. He is one of the most popular and most accomplished chartered accountant in the city today, and also then. So there was a batch of students, and it was a little disappointing when they kept telling us, "No, your turn will come 6 months down the line," and so on and so forth. That was a little bit of, I took it with a pinch of salt, and then later, there was this fellow trainees who had this prospectus of company secretaries. So it was more out of curiosity that, I requested them to share the prospectus with me. I requested that I may be allowed to take it home. And I kind of went through the whole prospectus. And somewhere I thought, this was my calling, though I was a little skeptical about expressing this to my parents at that point in time, because with great difficulty I had got into the CA firm. And I didn't know like how my parents would take it at that point in time. But then I made up my mind, went up to them, and I said, look, and I think I was quite taken up by the contents. The course is I thought I was I would be more comfortable doing what there was in the course.
Company secretary
And
course.
that is when I decided and made up my mind that okay, let me do the company secretaryship and not
Okay.
CA. So that is when I approached my parents, and then I took the permission, and there was no stopping after that, no looking back. And here am I with nearly 20 years of experience as a company secretary, and that has certainly been my calling, and I'm glad I did it. Yes, and along the way, somewhere I also completed my cost and management accounting as I worked. So I'm quite happy the way my career has shaped, and I look forward to more. There's about 9 to 10 years of my service left, so I really look forward to doing more and more things in the profession, and you know, that's about it. Yes.
Yeah, that's really nice to know that you wanted to be a chartered accountant, then you kind of stumbled upon company secretary course, and when you saw the contents of the syllabus, you felt that's your true calling, and the rest, as they say, is history. So
Yes.
when you took the course, since you told it's in the 90s, and even now, it's only now in the last 5 6 years that there's a general awareness that what is CS, parents or people around you know about this course. Even now it's much lesser compared to science in terms of awareness about the course. So how was it back then when you took? Who else did you know others in the city who were doing it, or how was it?
Yeah, it was pretty much nascent in the 90s, because as you know, the company secretaries legislation was passed in 1980, and it
Correct.
was just about a decade,
Decade.
after the legislation was passed. And those were the days of no technology at all, we were not at all exposed to a computer or internet, nothing was available. And all that we depended on was guidance from the senior members of the profession, or be it a company secretary or a chartered accountant or a law professional, where we went to and depended on a lot of books from the libraries. Now, at the click of your fingers, you have the information at your hand. I see all the youngsters, and I think there is a total transformation from the way we studied, and the way the youngsters now are having the wherewithals to kind of finish their course. It was very, very difficult and quite challenging, I must say, those days. Even to get, I remember having certain doubts in my mind regarding certain academics, and I had to wait for days to meet up with a senior professional to get a clarification. And it did happen. uh, uh, Probably that's the reason, why we have taken a little longer than the students now who we see completing in 3 years, 4 years, and 2 years, whatever that time frame may be. And along the way, there were also doubts whether you'd be really able to accomplish. And because it was taught to be so tough. And I think information was not at all available for us at that point in time. You only depended on study materials and textbooks and authors who were recommended in your study materials, and it was pretty much nascent, I must say.
I think that gives a nice context for all our audience here, because here very often students complain that let's say ICSI is not responding to my mail, or when they take the call center they're not getting the right feedback. But then I think your context of saying that when you really didn't know many people, or you had to wait for days for a certain information or meeting a professional, I'm sure today's students will feel they're very privileged compared to the time which you were doing CS. Ma'am, like you said about the challenges there, can you share the challenges of the course itself from the time you started till you finished? Could you do it in the first attempt, and does it really matter should one finish it in the first attempt? What's
I
your
don't
views
wish
on
to
that?
mention the number of attempts I've taken. I don't want to
No, we don't
distinguish.
want to ask you the number, but generally.
Okay, let me put it like this. I completed my course after my marriage and after the birth of my two boys.
Okay.
I'm the mother of two children who are pretty much in their 20s now.
Okay.
And I could take up the membership, though I qualified a little earlier. I could complete or take up the membership only a couple of years, after I had qualified, because of the reason that I couldn't leave two toddlers behind at home, go to Bangalore, and complete all those requirements, the ROC training, the stock exchange, and you had those classes to attend at the
Yes.
chapter, all that. It was not possible immediately. And I think I would like to lay a special emphasis on being a woman professional.
True.
There have been quite a few impediments by way of certain distractions along the way. I thought I could work and then, complete the company secretary, complete the course. And, that is when I tried moving to Bangalore, took up a job, but that was such an unrelated job. It was a job with the hotel industry, I was with the Taj group for some time, and then I tried to do this course, while pursuing my job at the hotel industry, which was just not a possibility. And that is when I decided, you know I must get back to the comfort of my home, give up working, and then pursue my studies, and then finish it. In between, I also kind of completed my Vidvat in Bharatanatyam, as your introduction said. And I also would like to mention to my audience that I've been dancing for the last 45 years. I'm a performing artist. I'm a Bharatanatyam danceuse. I still perform, I give stage shows. I'm very happy to mention that despite having a successful corporate career, I have kept in touch with this hobby, which I started learning from the age of 6. So I'm quite happy to have Bharatanatyam as a breather.
No, that I think that was really inspiring, and particularly because we have a lot of students of our academy and also our audience on YouTube who are married women, and they always find it a big challenge. Like you said, that you finished CS after you were married, and you also had two boys. So, if you could please tell a little bit of tips or anything which would help people in this category, that is, who are married and who have kids or who might not have kids but still they're pursuing the course, they always finding it as a bigger challenge than a full-time student. Your
Yes.
words of wisdom for them.
Uh, I'm not biased, but then I would say it is easier for men to complete the course. Of course, you have a different kind of a challenge, wanting to be an earning member at the earliest and all that. Well, probably that pressure is not there on many of the women folk,
Yeah.
okay, today in India. But then, it was many times it was quite frustrating because there was this there was an interest to pursue something else in between, and then marriage, and then the kids, and you never knew, like, whether you would complete this course at all. But then I think with the support of the family, I must say that I accomplished this course. And one of the happiest moments in my life has been when I was informed that I had qualified. That was one of the greatest moments today when I look back. I definitely, I think it really came at a moment that, I really needed to know that, there was something happening in my life. Okay. And after that, I think in the when I started working as a company secretary, I had this guru, my mentor, Mr. Satyamurthy, who was a very senior member of the profession, and it was such an inspiration later. He had to move to Muscat to be with his son, and then in his I think 70s, I saw him taking up all these examinations from the UK and USA, and the CPA and the SEMA and all that. And I couldn't imagine, somebody taking up and completing those exams at an age in the 70s, when I kept making fun. And then I said, sir, why do you need these exams at all? He said, look, as a young man or as a youngster, when, they had certain difficulties, having lost his father at an early age, and too many siblings, there was this pain of not being educated at that point in time, though he was a company secretary and a cost accountant during his career. He regretted not having completed certain foreign qualifications, and that is when, in his 70s, he kind of took up all these pending interests, and completed his exams. That is, he was truly an inspiration and a role model for me, and I really took a leaf out of his life. And then I have so far achieved two professional qualifications. Of course, I do intend to have a foreign, professional degree at some point in time. maybe I will do that. Okay. Pretty much late in my career, but then, it is always, the passion or the interest or the drive you have
Yes.
for achieving all these in your life. So, as far as a woman professional is concerned, I would really urge you not to give up, and then pursue this course, and of course it'll pay you off. That's all I can tell.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that was really because we tell many of the ladies and the girls who are doing this course, but when it comes from somebody like you, I'm sure it's much more powerful. And like you said, even I would just request all you people there, please don't give up. Just like how Sarina ma'am did, even you can be something very similar in the future, and it's all worth it in the end. That is what ma'am is trying to say. So going further, where did you start your career, and how were your initial days when you started off as a CS?
Um, well, I did my training, at one of the TVS companies in Chennai, because I had, for all purposes, I'm a Mysorean. Like, though I hail from Mangalore, I've been, I have schooled in Mysore, and then that is when I felt I must go out and work somewhere else. I did go to Chennai, and then I had this training in Chennai in one of the TVS companies. And then once I came back, as I said, I completed my course after the birth of my second son, and I started working with a company in Nanjangud, uh, South India Paper Mills. And soon after that, I got an opportunity to work in one of the companies, automobile companies in Mysore. And that is when I came back to Mysore, and then I started. I have felt, I mean, this has been my personal experience. In a company, you may find certain set standards, established standards, but then when you move into another company where you need to kind of, uh, you know, uh, introduce certain measures, standards, and refurbish the whole system. That is where the challenge lies, and that is where it would be a very fulfilling experience for a
Yeah.
professional.
Since you have worked in both a listed entity and now in a private company, what are the challenges in both these kind of companies that you have faced? How different are they?
Well, how different are they? Well, I would say in terms of compliances, definitely, there's a lot more requirements in a listed
Listed
company
entity.
than you have in a, private limited company. But then, we saw an overhaul of company law in the last few years. I think the biggest challenge for somebody like, I think, the contemporaries of me would be to unlearn the old law and learn the new law, because we are so attuned to, having learned the old Companies Act and doing so many things. And unlearning was one of the biggest tasks that, I have felt personally.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Going further, like what is the expectations from the board as a company secretary in a senior role? This is something which students would like to know. What does the board expect from you?
See, the expectations from the board is that, as a company secretary, you make sure that all the regulatory requirements of the company are met. And it's not just about the Companies Act. The board would expect you to guide them, or, make sure that the company per se is compliant overall at a 360-degree angle. And you strive as far as possible to make sure that, the company is not receiving any show cause notices, or not on the other side of the law. So it's not just about the Companies Act. I would say there's more than Companies Act, especially when you step into corporates. Okay, the expectations from the board is beyond Companies Act.
So
So
when you say Beyond Companies Act, if you could help our audience understand what are the kind of laws that you handle and the regulatory authorities that you have to deal with.
see, in the initial years of my career, I was also interested with HR, and that is when I learned a lot more. Though as a student, I have learned so many legislations pertaining to labor laws.
Correct.
You really put into practice when you start
Working.
handling those
Yes.
responsibilities personally. So I was glad that I took up a role as an HR, and as a company secretary, I was also entrusted with indirect taxation, and that was the regime of service tax. Okay, so it gave a whole new perspective, and then I've personally benefited from taking up new assignments such as these, indirect taxation HR. Down the line, I learned that my experience, having done the role of an HR and indirect taxation person, helped me really advise or um, uh, give my perspective to the management or the company for its own benefit.
Okay. So when we talk about what are the other skills which a company secretary student should acquire, what would you say over there? Like, what do you suggest for the students? What kind of skills should they have?
See, I have interacted with quite a few students, as a member of the Mysore chapter of ICSI, as a chairperson of the Mysore chapter in the past. So uh, my learning, or what I would like to advise the students now is, I think they should hone their communication skills, which is very, very lacking. I'm sorry to say that, but then I think there must be something like a finishing school. We did discuss with one of the senior members of the council some time back. We also gave the suggestion that there must be something like a finishing school to our students coming out of the profession or coming out of the institute, because I find that somewhere they lack the confidence, because as company secretaries, your interactions are with the top notch officials of the company. You're in touch with the board, and you must have all the self confidence to face the board, to be able to communicate with them and it's not just the board. And so many times you're asked to interact or interface so many other government officials, ministries. I think if you have that communication and the language skills, I'm sure your job is half done, and the way you present yourself is matter. It does matter a lot, because I've also seen students from IIM, the kind of confidence, the kind of skills they have in the boardroom when they make certain presentations truly makes a lot of difference.
Exactly. In fact, I was reading somewhere that 85% of your performance in your career is not your core technical skills. Core technical skills is just 15%. And for a profession like CS, where we study virtually every law, it's almost like an LLB, but without the constitution law in depth, and we are becoming experts in corporate law. Like you shared, I think communication is something which is something everyone should work on. And I'm sure this is also something I would like to tell our audience, that in all our interviews, this is a question which I ask our guests, and everybody says that the first thing they say is that communication has to be improved, and you have to be presentable, and that makes a huge difference. I'm sure students will definitely take this suggestion from you. Going further, ma'am, what are the kind of trends which you see for the future of the CS profession? For someone who's been around for more than 2 decades and seeing the recent churn in the laws and how things are shaping up in the corporate world, what are the future trends that you see?
As I said, I've worked in the era of writing the minutes in the minutes book, and
Yeah, in pen
not
and
having to
paper.
make even a single mistake. And that is when, when I was a trainee, I was asked to write the minutes of a certain board meeting, and I was being reminded that I'm not supposed to make any mistake, because there can't be any corrections in the
Minutes.
board minutes. And then now, it is all electronic, and it is all technology driven. So I think you need to be skilled in technology. I'm right now talking to the students. You need to be upgrading yourself in technology, not just the technology, of course. You definitely know that you need to be upgrading your skills as a professional. Read a lot of journals. You have a lot of information available on the CS portal and the MCA portal, and make yourself conversant with all the circulars and notifications, the rules. The world is so dynamic now, and there's so many amendments. Even today, I think we are Alok, you're interviewing me on budget day. I saw the finance minister talk about more governance and less government. Truly, she's laying
Yes.
emphasis on professionals like us. I have actually picked up, there were 10 words in her budget speech today. I saw at least, 10 times the word governance being referred to in the finance minister's speech, which means there is a lot of scope for professionals like us. We need to be the flag bearers of, the governance in the country. And I think very recently, in his interview or in his interactions with the CS Institute, Prime Minister Modi also laid down his expectations from, esteemed institutes such as ours. So I guess, uh, as the finance minister said, more governance and less government. I think we should go by that, and keep ourselves abreast, and do the best. How, the corporates in the country can contribute to the betterment of the economy. And we know today, we are proud to be the fifth major economy in the world. And of course, as professionals, we definitely have a role to play, a very major role to play in the development of this country, Oceans.
Okay. I'm sure the students will definitely understand that. And the scope is really huge. It's all about how well you're prepared and how confident you are. The scope is really very huge. Going further, as a trainer, because once you're a company secretary, you're working, there are also a lot of juniors that you have to train and bring them into the profession. So, for someone who's looking for training, uh, how should they get ready? Apart from passing their CS exam, what is expected out of a trainee?
My first advice to the students is not to be overconfident. Even as you write your exams, don't be overconfident. Just have the right amount of confidence, and go tackle the exams. And your learning does not stop with the qualification you acquire. It doesn't definitely stop there, because there's much more you learn in corporates, in your practice. And there's the whole gamut of how you deal with your customers, if you're clients, if you're a practicing professional, and even as a person in employment. There's a whole gamut of how you handle your, you know, your senior colleagues in the profession, and how you behave, or how you present your secretarial skills sitting in the boardroom. All of it matters. So the learning does not stop with the qualification you acquire. And please keep yourself, and soft skills are very, very important. I keep telling my boys also, because one of them is in a law profession also. He's attempting CS, and the other one is in economic. But then I say, for youngsters, it is very, very important to develop your soft skills. That is
So, apart
yes,
from communication, what are the soft skills which you would suggest that students should work on?
I think they must improve on their behavioral aspects. Have the right kind of attitude in a professional environment. How you talk, how much to talk, and what not to talk. I
Exactly.
think these are the skills that you need to pick up. Okay. And that comes along maybe with the background, with your kind of family background or your educational background, whatever that may be. Yeah.
Okay. Now, to work as a company secretary, sometimes there could be really high pressure, or when the board meeting or AGM is around the corner, there could be too many things to juggle. So, here, what do you think will set apart the company secretaries who are successful than the others who are not able to manage this?
I guess this is something to do with your mind management, okay, and your time management. You prioritize what is more important to you today. Of course, you may lay down about 20 tasks for yourself today. I'm sure you'll not be able to achieve all of those 20, but then you prioritize, what is your requirement today and what is that needs the most attention for the event, or, you know, what needs to be done. If I may say that, if there are certain regulatory expectations to be completed, you achieve that first before you kind of move on to your other tasks. And also, if your chairman is calling you for something to complete, or your reporting officer has given you a certain task, you must prioritize, what is more important for you to accomplish. How will the work, or how will the work impact the way you kind of attend to your work, is what matters. And then, of course, I definitely would agree that this is a high pressure job, because it's not just about 9 to 6, it is beyond that. And I think you need to be alert right around the clock. It is only over the weekends that I kind of prefer to switch off my mind, and then, do something not pertaining to my job, so that, I'm fresh on a day which is a Monday, when you start off again a grinding week of, corporate work and all that. So you probably dabble with your interests, your music, your dance, or yoga, or whatever. And, you kind of need to have that space. Otherwise, I'm sure you'll burn out fast. Okay. So, as for youngsters, I would say that, you take up whatever interests you. Maybe, your fitness, you need to be fit in your mind and body to go through these high pressure corporate jobs. Definitely, I would say, because after having done 20 years of corporate job or any other job, here we are all there. And definitely, for me personally, as a Bharatanatyam artist, it has really helped, because even on the days when there is a lot of work, I kind of finish my work, I go for a late evening class, and then get back home late. It is fine, because there you're mentally stressed, and here, you're kind of having a physical activity, which is very, very refreshing, I would say. Personally, that's how I've kept myself going.
Okay. So it's really another thing, again, keeping in mind all the young ladies and girls who are doing CS course. You talked about both Bharatanatyam and your core academics, and you completed both. Very often, the concern which the students, especially the girls, say that we start off, but for different reasons, it could be marriage or some other commitments, we discontinue both the academics or your hobbies like singing or Bharatanatyam or anything else. So, how did you make sure that you stuck to them despite all the other things coming along life, like marriage and kids and other commitments?
It's not easy, Alok, but then it's just a matter of perseverance. I would tell all the students or the young aspirants of the profession, to stay focused and to persevere whatever their activities are. But it's just a matter of practice. Uh, you just keep pursuing your interests, and I'm sure the payoff is there.
Definitely it is, and I'm sure there are a lot of young ladies and girls will be inspired because, like you said, you finished your CS after having two kids, and that is not really easy. And personally, it's going to be quite a challenge, and still you did it. I'm sure all the girls and ladies out there will be very inspired. So, ma'am, what would be your message to students who are doing the CS course?
I would say just go ahead and never give up what you have already started. And that's the best way to kind of stay focused and achieve your career goals. And so far as it comes to the profession, in the starting or the start of your career, you take as many assignments entrusted to you as possible, because that'll give you a great platform to learn and showcase your professional skills. That's what I would recommend and also advise to the youngsters around. So all the best.
With that, we'll be closing this week's interview. That was our guest, CS Sarina Chouta Harish. Thank you, and for more such videos, subscribe to our channel, Ekcel Academy. Thank you and good luck to you.